Hey everyone, in this video I will share with you guys how to write an excellent thesis. So here's the thing, recently I graduated from the University of Bristol and my dissertation grade there was 86. And I got my distinction and I was very happy about it, and my supervisor was even telling me that my work is publishable. Wow. And in this video I want to share some tips that helped me personally to receive these high grades. So why I think that my advice would be of interest to you. First, when I was doing my dissertation, I was not staying alone. I had my family with me. So it was taking some of the time. Plus, I was doing like 2 hours of volunteering work during the weeks. And just to warm you up even more, here I need to tell that I'm not a native English speaker. Plus, I was working 20 hours a week during working on my dissertation. Plus, I finished my dissertation 1 month before the deadline. Whoa. This result is quite good. It was quite good. In fact, the University of Bristol staff thought that it would be a good idea if I came to university and just shared my own experience with the students there, and which I did, and I believe students loved it. So let's start. First of all, I'm going to speak about my own dissertation very briefly because there are some neat details in there that I wanted to demonstrate. Then I will touch on some planning techniques that I personally was using. Then I want to share with you guys my favorite tool that I have come up with, which helps me personally whenever I work with any kinds of texts, okay? This is really beautiful. I'm going to share it with you. Then I will also touch on some software. And also I will speak about how to be a good team with your supervisor. So just to quickly outline, the formal side of things, I graduated from the University of Bristol in 2019 and my course was MSc in Education, Leadership and Policy, and I graduated with distinction, and here's my diploma just to make sure you got it. And so yeah, and my dissertation was this: a case study of the Russian University 2035, an innovation opposed to the traditional university. And obviously my thesis was in social science, so let's go to the logic of the research. Your dissertation needs to be based on a very firm research question. So here's the thing, research question is like half of your success, okay? So it's critical, it's very, very important to find a great research question. In my case, the research question was, how is University 2035 constructed and positioned publicly as a new kind of university? Since it is how is University 2035, how? It is case study, intrinsic one. Constructed and positioned. I cannot count anything here, so this is a qualitative research. Then it says publicly, that's why I was using discourse analysis, and as a new kind of university. So this means automatically that in my literature review, I was investigating this topic. What means a new kind of university? So what means a traditional university? So this is what I was doing, okay? Obviously, you will not choose this topic, right? But here's the thing. Your research question actually has to outline everything, your approach, your methodology, even the, focus of your literature review and so on. So as I said, research question is very, very, very important. So pay much attention to it. Chapter 2 literature review, I was speaking about what a university is, what models of university are there. Chapter 3 was dealing with methodology. So obviously it's case study, data collection issues. I didn't go and survey people, I just worked with documents. And here I need to tell that this was a very smart solution. If you want to go and survey people, this automatically means that you will spend like a lot of time on it. So if you don't have too much time, what you could do is you might design your research so that you wouldn't need to go and survey people, but instead you would be able to work with documents. And in a way, it does help to save time. So right, let's talk about some planning issues, okay? So first of all here, you need to understand that your dissertation is a huge project. You need to use your project management skills. I know that some people do not have these kind of experience, project management skills, and that's why they are struggling when they need to deal with this huge bulk of text. And here my advice to you would be, if you have any opportunities to gain this project management skills somehow, do some project work somewhere beforehand. If you do that, it would be so much easier for you to manage your dissertation. So good research proposal is the key. The research proposal is a very brief document that you prepare before you actually dive into your dissertation, and it's critical to work on your research proposal the best way possible. Prepare it, because it becomes a draft for your dissertation, so this cannot be overrated. Another thing that I wanted to share is that you need to make use of your essays. If you are now working on dissertation, then it means that before that you were working on your essays, right? So in my case, I had written 6 essays already at the University of Bristol. These helps because you know your own speed, you know how many words you can write per day, and so these kind of things. So overall, when you go to do your masters, pay very close attention to nailing your essays, because the experience that you gain there will be very helpful in your dissertation. I hope this does make sense and not too obvious. And also, I wanted to show you the Gantt chart. So this is actually my Gantt chart, okay? So for those of you who don't know, you can actually go and Google it. Gantt chart is a tool that helps you to actually manage your projects. Again, this comes from, project management. And here at the left, here are the stages that I had for my dissertation. You see the stages. Then you can see the tasks within each stage there. And also to the right, you can see that there are the dates here: May, June, July, and August. So the blue part here means the actual time that you need to plan for your, certain parts of your document. So here, for example, in chapter 1, literature review, you can see that I gave myself 2 weeks to identify key texts which would be relevant for my topic. And then I gave myself 3 weeks to read them all. And then some important milestones here are shown in red, you see? So here was my first deadline. By the end of May, I had to send my draft to Raphael. Raphael was my supervisor. He was simply the best. And here you can see that there is this waterfall logic here, that all the processes are going one after another. And here I was planning to submit my dissertation by the end of August, because 27th of August was my birthday. And in fact, I submitted it on 10th of August, I believe. Plus, starting from July, I was working 20 hours per week. So this was the Gantt chart, okay? This is really helpful. And now I'm gonna share with you guys my favorite tool for working with texts, okay? So this is a tool that I came up with myself. At least I didn't see anyone using it, okay? So first of all, just, clear your mind, okay? Imagine this. Let's say you have just 5 words to describe what you did yesterday. What would you say? I would say something like, yesterday I worked during the day. Okay, so this was a short message, okay? But let's say I'm given some more time to describe what I did yesterday, okay? So in that case, I would say, you know what? Yesterday, I was sitting at my desk and I was working remotely, because we've been working remotely for 10 months already because of the COVID-19 and so on. Far more detailed description of the idea, right? But then imagine I have 5 minutes to tell you about my yesterday. In this case, I would go in very tiny details. Oh, I was sitting there and then I was hungry. Then I thought that, I should go and eat something, blah, blah, blah. So there are lots of details here, okay? This is the pyramid, or maybe a triangle, whatever you like. So this means that the upper side of it gives you less details or less depth. Say, In the very top of it was my, 5 words speech I was working yesterday. So this is it. But say you are given some more time, and then the, bottom side of the triangle gives you a bit more opportunities to go into details. So here, for example, you can see that it gives me 50 words. So say these parts mean that there are some chunks of your text, right? Some introduction and then maybe literature review and so on and so on. So when you were working on your essay and say you were given 3,000 words, then you still would need to stick to this structure, right? You would need to use the introduction, you would need to use the literature review, then some findings and some conclusion, right? There are still same part, same structure, but the thing is you only have 3,000 words. But in your master's thesis, you have lots more words, right? So it becomes just bigger. The triangle becomes bigger and it goes into far more details. But the structure of it stays just the same. So introduction is still there. Literature review is still there. The findings are still there. And the methodology is somewhere there. And the conclusion is still there, right? But since it goes like this, it becomes wider. The more it goes down, the wider it becomes, right? And this is the way it works. So imagine the structure itself is just the same, and you need to stick to this structure. I hope that it does make sense to you, but this helps really, really so much to you. So why is this important? Why you need to stick to this tool? Why I personally benefit from this tool a lot? Because when I'm writing a text, if I know that, say, my overall word number is 10,000, then proportionally I say my introduction must be 1,000 words, then I understand that in 1,000 words I can only go to a certain level of details. I cannot go in too much details, okay? But if it would be, say, a PhD dissertation, a huge one, then my introduction there would be like a small book, So this is it. This is really, really important because when you're writing a text, this tool helps you to, identify the depth of your text, in how much details you're going into. So this is like really, really critical, and this is very, very important. I'm not sure that I made it clear, but I do hope that you understood it, because to me personally, as I said, this is a very beautiful tool. It helps you to work on your structure, at the same time understanding how much details you can afford with your given number of words. This is beautiful. So here, guys, I want to share with you the tool that I personally use whenever I need to make this, chunks of structure of any kind of texts, okay? So the tool is called Workflowy, and here is my folder of University of Bristol, and here you can see the list of my essays that I was doing. And just to make clear how I was using it, see here, for example, there are some strange numbers over here. You see? Some numbers. And this was my education policy essay, and here's the dissertation. You can dive into it. Like this. And here's my dissertation, okay? Here you can see the word numbers that I was planning to have when I was planning my dissertation, okay? Planning is critical. Almost 1,000 words for introduction, 4,200 words for literature review, and then 2,000 for methodology and so on. So this was my first planning. So when you do this, you need to have this design in your mind, okay? The introduction has to be a relatively small part of the dissertation, right? It doesn't have to be like 90% of your dissertation. So you keep it small, right? And you allocate a certain number of words, especially for this part, okay? So the italic numbers here, as you can see, are the planned numbers. And in bold, you can see here the actual number of words that I ended up having. So you can see that I had planned 4,200 words for the literature review, but in fact, when I started writing it, it was so meaty that I couldn't help but have it just bigger than it was planned. Methodology, on the other hand, was just a bit smaller than planned. So this is something that I wanted to share with you. Then you go into details. You can unpack the structure of your dissertation, and in every single part of it, here you just outline the key points, okay? And this site workflow, it helps you to do that perfectly. You just enter like this, and here's a new bullet point created, and you just write something. So here's it, another bullet point, or if you want, you go there and go into details. Detail 1, detail 2, detail 3, and then you can hide them. So the thing is, if I'm working on my introduction, I just go into introduction and all the other parts just go away so that I could just focus on my introduction, okay? Then you just go back. You finished your introduction. I don't need this. I just delete it, okay? I close it back. And then you dive into your literature review. So in your literature review, again, you use the same triangle technique. Here, you can see how many layers are in there. You know, you go deeper and deeper and deeper. And then when you're done with the literature review, you finish it again, you close it like this, and then you dive into your methodology. Yeah, there we go. Here, same structure again, see the same numbers. Why it's important, okay? Because you know what other students did, some of them obviously, they start writing their introduction, they finish writing their introduction, and then it's just very big. And then they go into the literature review, and then it's even bigger. And then they have only finished introduction and literature review, but they are almost out of the words. So what they need to do is they need to go back and they need to rewrite the introduction to make it slimmer, you know? And the literature review the same. They need to make it twice less. And you know, all these rewritings going back and forth is taking so much time. But in my case, since I had already this structure there, it helped me to stick to this structure and gave me this structure to organize myself, not to go into much details, not to underwrite anything. So this was something that really helped me write it, and I did it very fast. You finish it, you know that it takes the part that it needs to take, you know, it doesn't get any bigger than that. So this is really helpful. And another piece of software that I highly recommend for you to use is the reference manager software. There are lots of them out there, but I personally was using Mendeley. I liked it a lot. This is the site of Mendeley, and you just basically go there, download it, or you can use it online, just sign in and so on. I was storing all my references in there, and it is very handy, and it saves you so much time. Let's also speak about how to be a good team with your supervisor, okay? So first of all, here I need to tell that the key principle here is respect. Because your supervisor, he or she, is a great scholar, most probably, and you need to understand that they don't have too much time, actually. The very least thing that you can do to respect your supervisor is to make your documents easy to understand, structured, and beautiful, okay? This is my draft of research proposal, okay? This is the name of it, and here's the introduction, and this was the table that I came up with, and I was using it to structure my own thoughts and questions here, as you can see. So here are the documents that I was providing my supervisor with, and here you can see that it's very neat, it's very structured, and it's very easy to read and understand, and it was very easy for my supervisor to just leave his comments here, you see? Hi Raphael, if you're watching this, I'm very grateful for your support during my dissertation. He's so cool. Whenever you prepare any document or any email which you are sending to your supervisor, just make sure you spend 10-20 more minutes for your document. Plus, when you are structuring it, it actually helps you yourself to structure your thoughts, you know? So it really does help a lot. And also I need to tell that you need to get prepared for all your meetings with your supervisor very well. Because usually you will have very limited number of meetings It might be like 2 or 3 meetings, and this means that all these meetings have to be a very good input into your dissertation, so get prepared. And here I'll come back to my research question advice. Remember I was telling you that you better choose a topic that you are very curious about? So you better do it like that, because if your supervisor feels that the topic that you are focusing on is of interest to you, then it will be easier for him or her to help you, because they can feel it that you are interested in your topic and you're just working on it, and they try to support you in the best way possible. And the last thing I'd like to mention here, and probably it's the most important thing when dealing with your supervisor, is that your thesis, your dissertation is your responsibility. It's not your supervisor's responsibility. He's not your dad or mom. He or she is not there to do everything for you. And this is very important because some of the students tend to behave like kids, as if the supervisor is there to do everything for them. But that's not the case. You need to be very, very proactive there. And since you have reached this late point of my video, why don't you subscribe to my channel, and here you can watch my other development tips, and here you can see my school tour videos, and they're really fun. I'll see you in my next videos. Bye!